it's good or he is bad.
Apologies, everyone.
You know what, let me do something, Beth. I'm gonna text him right now and ask him,
what his availability is so that we can.
I'll include you, okay?
Yep,
Because you had,
better.
when I get them, sometimes they last for days.
Yeah, and this morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I hope it doesn't continue, but I'm okay now. Thanks for asking. Did I tell you that or did that just
Rumor had it.
rumor had it? Yeah.
Word travels.
Word got out.
Rumor had it, but I
And I
couldn't do 8 AM yesterday.
certainly understand your pain because
Yeah.
I've been
It's
there. Since 14 years old, I've been getting them.
It's squiggly dots,
I get them too.
like jagged. dots.
Vision goes all weird. All right.
Mm.
Hi, Klaus.
Howdy. Howdy. I can see you guys and hear you.
Can hear you as well.
That's a good sign.
So far, good.
We're good.
You gonna let them all in or?
Whenever you tell me to. Well,
Yeah.
actually, if I could have a minute to get in myself so I can run it from my computer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just have to find my agenda. Let me in.
you gotta-
I'll let myself in.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, but
That's because the computers are.
Hi, how are you?
Now let me make myself.
Uh,
Host, co-host. Yes.
Oh boy, it says the whole facility shut down.
Oh,
So now we're just figuring out how, they'll test and stuff. It's gonna take a minute. Figure out where that came from. It's not every resident should test it.
Well,
Okay,
you know,
you ready for me to let?
staff
okay.
is not vaccinated. And as far as I know, they're still not mandating it.
They said there, they would begin as soon as it came with emergency approval.
The COVID cases they've had at Jeff's facility have been brought by staff. And the idea that
I don't
healthcare
see.
staff is going to vaccinate all of them.
Just looking at
It's
you.
just, hard work.
At least New York City is requiring it now, almost last orders.
what was that?
One of his last orders.
Requiring health workers to, healthcare workers to be vaccinated.
Oh,
What's that?
Uh,
I don't see you in here at all.
yeah, we're looking pretty dark up there
But are
too.
you also signed in as municipal? You're probably signed in as municipal, right?
Good.
So you're there
Yeah, I
and
did
you're
see that.
already host. You should already
But
host.
he's, he's got this.
Do you have all the buttons?
No.
Sure he is. Why not, right? And Rand Paul makes money.
Let me throw a invite link in an email to you. Does that work, Sally?
You know, which way is that thing pointed? Does it swing?
It's when,
Oh, okay.
should
Oh, there.
talk a little bit, a
Hello.
little bit more.
A little bit more? Any more? No more? Hello, hello, hello.
I just sent the
That's not,
link, a direct link in the
there it
email.
is. Now it's one. It's kind of hard with the backlighting. I don't know if everybody can hear me, but we're having a couple of technical problems and we'll be up and running here shortly.
You're coming across real clear, Mike. Can't hear much from anybody else, but you're very clear.
That's because nobody else is talking. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Is it this thing here?
Me,
Are we doing this Friday again?
no. Well, we've limited access,
Right.
so, no.
When it happens, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna take care of that, but it's gonna be, it's a change on the.
With that, I'll just do it in your hands. Yeah, that's. It's probably on this. There's some project. I'll keep an eye on it.
I like that, huh?
I just got back here. I just figured I'd do something when I see that.
The town didn't have as much growth as we did.
Funny because they have so much more building over here.
Well, hard to say. I don't know. You got to figure it out.
Whenever Sally's ready.
You ready, Sally? Okay. Looks like we're ready, everybody. Is everybody in? We'll call this meeting to order.
Yep, she is. It's coming.
Got it.
There's just a delay.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for going to remote. Those of you here that didn't see what was on the website, we made some changes because of the uptick in COVID in our community. We felt it was best if we can move as many people as possible to a remote, because there's been no executive order that would allow us to go completely remote, for the public to be here. So thank you for coming, the three of you. There's one change on the agenda because of the changes for COVID and trying to reduce occupancy. Agenda will be taken off, and we will try to swear him in next month. The idea was that he would like his family to come and be here to be sworn in ceremoniously, so. Okay, first order of business is to approve our minutes of July 21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Carol,
Second.
Anna? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Okay, department head reports. Let's see, the assessor will not be with us tonight. She is on vacation. And I don't think she was there. Last I got was that she wasn't going to be here. Next one is golf course. It looks like Kevin's with us.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, good.
We've all seen your report, and do you have anything to add to this? Anything that has occurred since this report was written?
Nope, I've been working hard on finding a fair rate increase for membership. These are just some of my ideas in the report.
Mhm.
So hopefully by next month, I should have a good recommendation, if not this one, but I've been working on it.
Have you sat down with the committee, golf committee, to work on that?
This past week, we discussed a lot of good points. And we're trying to resolve it and get it to, put it on paper and get it approved.
Okay.
Carol's given me a lot of great ideas, and so has Beth. So we're working on it.
Well, it's certainly important that they're involved in that process, so we appreciate the
Yep.
meeting. Things have been going pretty well so far this year.
Yeah, the golf course has been pretty busy this summer. July was a little bit slower than normal because of lack of tournaments and the weather. We had a lot more rain in July than we normally get, and we got a lot of it on the weekends, and that hurts when you get it on the weekends. But other than that, it's been pretty good. We had a pretty good day today, even though it rained all day. In fact, I still got probably 10 golf carts still on the golf course, so. Members came late.
Any questions? Go ahead, Anna.
So I first wanted to note a thank you for your attention to the inclusive language. That is, really important for making the community welcome. So I thought that was really great. And then I was going to ask some questions about the fee schedules that you're proposing and the fee. But if this is something that's still in conversation with the golf committee and this isn't the final recommendation, then my questions. I will just say that I'm very interested in understanding more about the budget, the budget and the sort of, there seems to be, you shared some disagreement about, the golf course operating in a, at a financial loss. And so I personally would like to understand more about the numbers and make sure that that the board is clear about, the financial revenues and expenses of the golf course. So being that that's still in committee with y'all, then I'm certainly happy to hold those questions, but just to put it out there. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an exit because I got stuff to do.
Okay. Next one on the pile is Chief.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Jim.
If there's no questions about my report, the only other thing I wanted to add was that the block dance and Dairy Princess Parade both went well as far as law enforcement is concerned. Zero issues at all. That was a success as far as we're concerned. And the other thing I wanted to add was just to throw out that our new hire, Officer Vine, has been doing a fantastic job so far, is well liked by everyone. And very happy to have hired him. So thank you for that. But I'm happy to answer any questions if any of you have any.
Questions, anyone?
Glad that he is doing well and getting acclimated.
Yep.
And if I could just add, just to note from your report that the multiple bike safety presentations that your officers have been doing have been really well attended. I believe over 100 children have been participating. So that's really great. I wanted to sort of put that out there.
Yeah, that's a very nice success at the school and at the pavilion. So 3 events altogether for bike safety. So getting the message out for sure.
Jim, you saw the note about the block party?
Yes, I did. I already passed that on to the officer that's working Saturday.
Very good. Any further questions for Jim? Okay, thanks, Jim. Tim, you there? Law enforcement?
I am not. Oh, you're muted.
There I am.
Okay.
I'm Galaxy A50.
Anything to add to your report? It looks like it was dated today anyway, so it should be pretty current.
Yeah, that was for July. I did the July report, but McDonald's got their CO on August 6th. You were all there. That's since that job wrapped up, things have been leveled off pretty good and are getting a little more stable and manageable. Parkway is ongoing. They were doing some roofing on there the other day. I have a variety of a lot of other permits out there. Oh, the Rock and Mineral Show issued a permit for that last week. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add right at this moment.
Okay, questions for Tim?
Just to clarify, Parkway is Tim Hortons that's going up on the old Phoebe's property?
Correct. It's Parkway and Tim Hortons and Valero gas station.
Okay, great.
Anything else? Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Economic development. Lee, are you out there?
I am, I'm here.
There you go. I know you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, we're pretty busy. I will glance over my report here and see if I have much to update. We do have the contract in place. Oh yeah, it's on here for the New York Main Street grant, so we're getting moving on those. We've got the second tree grant contract in place with the state, so we're getting an RFP prepared for that project. Brownfield Opportunity Area Step 2 nomination document is now available. There's going to be 2 public hearings on that, or public meetings, excuse me. They're both on August 25th. I believe they're 2:30 and 5:30. I didn't know that at the time when I wrote this, but I believe they're 2:30 and 5:30, but the link for registration is there. So we're just seeking some public input on that. Working away at the CDBG CARES Act application. We've requested input from small businesses about what their needs are, so we can make a request for small business assistance. And we've gotten maybe 8 responses so far. So those we had asked for responses by tomorrow, close the business. And also the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, the $10 million or this year $20 million contest, I guess. Those applications are due on September 15th, so we're plugging away at that as well. Working with CNS on that application too, so things are going well. We're moving along. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Questions? There being none. Thanks, Lee.
Welcome.
Animal control, he's not here. Looks like the superintendent is next. Marty.
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Your report was dated today, so I don't know if you have much more to add to it, but what you got?
It was dated today. Well, yeah.
It says August. I don't know what.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the report? I do have a couple things that I think we need to bring up and discuss, but first of all, does anybody have any questions on the report?
Nope.
I do.
Okay.
Just any update on the Harrison crossing? I noticed the road's been closed for a while. Are we still just waiting for?
Well, I was informed last week that CSX was moving back in up by the town barn, getting ready to start putting some tables together for 310. So I'm assuming it's looming very soon that they will be calling us at 6:15 a.m. telling us that they're going to be doing something. So don't know when that's going to be. Nobody can give a definite answer on that. So
The one reason why we asked that to be closed was because it was damage done to vehicles.
Yeah,
So-
it was terrible. It was definitely terrible.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was closed. I just sort of was wondering on a timeline, which I understand is all left to our imagination.
well, I had reached out to CSX many times, and then, so finally, I played I left a message saying that this was, after the damage to the vehicles, that this had become a serious safety hazard, and they called right back up and said that they could not come up and patch it, that they'd come up and close it, and I said, so be it. And that many options there, so.
Then my other question about the iWorks software that you and Sally have been working, is that something that is starting to be used, or what's your timeline for implementation?
Well, so we're still going on a weekly training with the iWorks. We've implemented basically, I think, everything that the village has, the assets. We have been doing some work orders. I'm probably setting a timeline probably of like October 1st is when all purchases will need a PO, and I'll send a memo out to all departments, giving them plenty of notice that as of October 1st, there'll be no purchases without a PO, which is, I think, going to help us immensely, whatever, when it comes to budgeting. We'll be able to know, where everything's going. I think it's when it's all 100% running, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So, and maybe, if somebody wants to come up to the office, we can sit down in front of the computer and we can, get you on it, whatever. So, you guys can understand it also.
Yeah,
I'll
that'd be
stop
great.
up sometime, Marty, and check that out.
Okay, you wanted to bring something else up, Marty?
Yeah, there's actually a couple things, and one of them is just a oversight that has gone on for how many months now. But when I put the budget together in February, March for capital projects, at that time I really didn't know how much funding we were going to be getting from CHIPS, and so when you look at the capital projects, we're actually doing more than what was allotted, but we're going to be paid back for it. But just to be clear that in the budget, it only had 75,000. And we only had, I think, 3 streets. Well, now we're doing 5 streets, and we're using more money because we got more money, but we are going to be reimbursed from the state on it. So I think we're not going to have to do a resolution or something for the next meeting to, just so that, it's done the proper way.
Yep, I anticipated that we would do an adjustment to the budget for that.
Yeah.
Want to see where you ended up. We already know what money you're getting, so.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Official process. Next meeting.
Okay, and then the other thing is something that is being kicked around, and I was actually able to have a kind of a chat with one of the owners yesterday of the Talman Road and Remington Road project over there. Their interest is to turn the road over to the village. That would be, in my mind, a very good move. But this is something that I would have to have all of this documentation in when I turn in the road inventory, street inventory by mid-October. So hopefully at the next meeting, and I don't know how the mayor and the board, how you want to handle this, if you want to have a special meeting, how you want to decide if this is what, the village wants.
Well, I think I'm going to start, we've talked about this a little bit, you and I, and we're going to start with Jerry, because Jerry's the one that gets to do all the work.
Yeah,
We could do public hearing.
We'll have to do a public hearing, as Jerry said.
yeah.
I'm sorry, which road is this?
It's the Tallman, the road
Got it.
up on Remington Ave, Tallman,
Yep.
the Tallman property.
Yep,
Where
good,
we just got water and
Mhm.
over to.
perfect.
You're talking about the entire circular road, everything with them?
We have to wrap up the right of ways for water anyways. We'll do it all in one. But I'll talk to you more about that after the meeting.
So that would be, if those were turned over to the village, that means they would be our responsibility.
Mhm.
But town is, oh no, David. 11's the state.
Yep.
So we would just have to get our plows and stuff out there a little further than they go now.
Yes, so actually that would just be just another leg that the village would run in and plow. They'd turn off State Route 11 and go in there and plow that. But there's so much information that I have to turn in to the New York State DOT in order to get an ID number. I have to, give surveys. There's a lot of information that would have to get that on our street inventory so that next year and forever afterwards, that would be eligible for CHIPS funding over there. So any work that we would do over there would be reimbursable with the CHIPS funding. And I've already put together a list of what we would have to do once we took possession of it. I have signage. I have, some things that I would have to do right off the bat to make it, safe and legal. And then as the years go on, we could take and improve it over there. So.
Marty, who handles the survey? Who handles all the work that needs to be done on it before the transfer happens? Does the owner do that, or is that our responsibility as well?
Well, I mean, they have a lot of the paperwork in place that we could kind of go off. I mean, lane miles aren't going to change. A lot of that stuff's not going to change. Actual, center line of road right away that's there, which right now it's strange because that's all their right away. So that's one of the things that we'd have to look at. If we're going to take over the road, what right away are we going to have from the center line each side? That's there's no curb there. We're going to go ditch line to ditch line. Is it going to be 30 foot? Those are things that, which when it gets into Jerry will be, obviously very involved in it because a lot of it's going to be legal stuff. But then the state can give us guidance, on, making sure that we're doing the right thing and we're not, omitting anything that could come to haunt us in the future. So.
You said that you thought this was a really good idea. What's the benefit to the village to acquiring this?
What's that now?
What's the benefit of the village taking that road over?
Well, I think, as I look at things there right now, I don't think with the current developer, I don't see the expansion over there with the way things are currently moving, the direction that they're moving. If we can get in there and improve that street, I think you'll see the expansion move quicker, which is more water, more water usage, which is more revenue. You get, tax dollars, more houses being built, maybe businesses up on the Remington end. And right now, I just think it's, when you look at the road that's there, yeah, it's a road, but it's not something that's, up to par with a lot of people or businesses that might be looking at moving there, so.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
So I just want to make sure that I'm clear that when you said the mid-October, that's the deadline to submit everything so that it's.
Well, I mean, I can buy some time with the state. I mean, if I reach out to them and say, listen, we're in the midst of, possibly taking over and creating another street, on the village inventory, I'll turn in everything else and maybe I'll be able to buy some time till the end of the year, to see if we're going to move forward with it. But I know like they said, there's going to be a special meeting, so we're looking at, September, October, maybe by November. I think the special meeting, then you got 30 days and then another 30 days. So looks like it's going to take maybe the next 2 or 3 meetings to complete this, I think, the legal part of it.
Got it.
Okay. Doing my part of it would take a week, but doing the legal part with all the meetings and whatever time Jerry would need, that could take maybe 2 to 3 months.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Marty? Okay, thanks, Marty.
Yep, thank you.
Megan with an H.
Yes, hi, everyone.
Hi. What would you like to add to your August report?
Well, this past Sunday, we concluded the Cub Scout camp at Taylor Park. That went very well. All the kids had a great time whenever I stopped in, and the camp director was very appreciative. The newly finished floors in the Riley room, they finally have dried since they did it in the middle of the humidity last week, and they look fantastic. In addition to Taylor Park being closed on Friday, September 3rd, the Recreation Committee and myself, we have started the conversation about closing the beach for the season on Tuesday, September 7th, but the park would stay open. Let's see, this past weekend, the southern end of the pavilion bleachers, they were cleaned and resealed. We're just waiting on additional product to finish the other end. Let's see, a recent update on the planned ADA kayak and canoe launch at Taylor Park. Yesterday, Carol and we set up the donation system with the village office so we can begin the fundraising process. Donors, they can make checks payable to the village, and then in the memo, they just add ADA boat launch, so that way we can make sure the funds are earmarked for the project. I've also been working with Marty on some larger projects, including the replacement of the rubber floor mats in the lobby, offices, and restroom area of the pavilion, as well as going back and forth about what we're going to do for a Zamboni for the upcoming season. But other than that, everything's been going great. It's been wonderful. I've gotten a lot of support and from the community, so it's been really great.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions for Megan?
Yeah, just one, Megan. I saw a theme in your report about, sort of looking at systems and, making things, seeing what needs to be done to run things efficiently. And you mentioned the Google Calendar. What I wasn't clear from your report is that going to be public facing, or is that an internal scheduling tool?
It's an internal tool, so that way the village office and myself with payments and the $25 deposit refund. So it's easy for us to keep track of everything, especially since we're not in the same building. We can easily see what's going on.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
We are delighted that you're here, and the bleachers look amazing.
Well, half of them do.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Next up is treasurer.
Oh, I like it.
That was so good.
If you don't have my report, there's a lot of information in there. I did send you an updated sales tax revenue spreadsheet.
Can I just ask one? Can you all hear Sally?
Not very well.
I'll switch it to credit. Okay.
Use the chairs. Use the chairs.
My glasses on. Just wanted to highlight the sales tax spreadsheet that same time period last year received $87,000 more than we did last year. That's a boost to our budget. The highest it's been since 2018-19. So I thought that was great news. Tax collection is going great. We're only at $51,000 left to collect. That's pretty much everything I wanted to highlight. I don't know if anybody had any questions.
Sally, I just wondered if you have any update on your staff search.
Well, last week it went nowhere. But tomorrow my plan is closing my door and making the phone calls that I need to make to get it moving to the next step.
Anything else? Okay. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so.
Historian?
Oh, historian. I'm sorry. Linda, you there? Sorry about that, Linda.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
She's muted.
Yeah, she's muted. Linda, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
No.
And if you turn off the microphone, will that help? Just press the button in the middle on the microphone. Now try.
Want to try again, Linda?
I think it's okay. It's her, it's not us.
Where'd she go? She leave?
No, she's there.
You still there, Linda?
I wonder if she's got, does she have a phone on? Seems like it. There's another electronic device next to it. That's why it's happening.
Well, Linda, it was an excellent report.
Very interesting.
Okay,
Got the pictures.
I'm afraid it's my computer.
okay. You sound
Can you hear
okay?
me okay? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, what I did, I logged on twice because when I went on, Zoom was not part of my computer anymore. So I went and did some crazy things. So I was on twice. I think I fixed it. So I know you've had my report for quite a while now. Are there any questions?
No, it was a great report, Linda.
You have anything to add from when you submitted it?
Yeah, the Pomeroy marker, thanks to Marty and the crew, could be up in the next few weeks. It's in our courtroom and I'm very happy to have that up. And now I'm going to start with another Pomeroy marker for Pirates. Pirates deserves to have a marker down there. So that's going on. I met up with Megan and we're going to be eventually doing some nice big photos for the pavilion upstairs. because there were like 20 small ones. And I got those back when Putman left. And now when she gets a chance, she's very busy right now. We're gonna put some nice photos up in the pavilion, up in the area on the second floor. So I'm excited about that. I have more webinars coming. And Steven Sauter is back. He's not in personally, but I'm sending him research projects now. He's very happy. So I don't know when he'll be back in person, but he works from home for me, which is very good. You all know Steven. And he writes me all the time, send me stuff, send me stuff. So I've sent him something today. But otherwise, it's just really busy up there. So, but it's good. So if there's no other questions, I'm going to sign I think I'm off now with my face, but I see all of you. So I don't know what I did with my computer tonight, but it's a little kooky.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay.
Sound.
Motion to accept department head reports.
So moved.
Anna,
Second.
Second.
Well, I already got one, Klaus. Thank you. Back. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, committee reports. I'm sure we have committees to report.
I'll start. I think Megan covered most of all the great stuff that's happening in rec. We are scheduling our second Recreation Advisory Committee meeting, the first one with Megan at the helm. That'll be September 7th. Things are moving along on the outdoor rink. They've been working on plans to get it taken apart, possibly donating some pieces of it, or mostly just keeping the pieces of it out of the landfill. And also, as Megan mentioned, Mark McKenna continues to lead the charge on the ADA kayak canoe launch. The Wyckoff family has made a very generous commitment. It's a great kickoff for the funding. Mark's working on some revisions to the plan to sort of scale it more appropriately to the space. So that's really great stuff. And the town and village continue to work together to help give Megan all the support we can. So we're feeling great about that. Sustainability, two really fun things. Katie Metcalf, who some of you may know, she's a rising sophomore at Canton Central, through the Sustainability Committee, applied for a $250 grant through the Canton Community Foundation to pursue a project she started in high school to encourage home composting. She's doing it, doing a sort of an awareness raising project in her grade among students who expressed interest. So the money will help her buy home compost receptacles to give to the families who are interested. Really, really a great project. She took all the initiative herself, is really carrying that through and expects it to be a project that she works on through like her high school career. The other cool thing about that is that it dovetails with another project we're hoping to work on. The village applied in cooperation with Cooperative Extension for a half-time community educator who will work on residential food waste diversion and composting projects. If we get that, we'll be able to, CCE will employ a person half-time to do that in the community. It's especially important. It's has a huge environmental impact, but also because a lot of the food diversion, keeping food out of the waste stream, is going to become mandated. So this will have, hopefully Canton will be ahead of the curve and ready for that when the time comes. So that's sustainability. The only other thing I have is communication technology. You want me to do that? Actually, it's not the only other thing I have, is that we've
Why am I
agreed
not surprised?
I could let Emmett do this. We're gonna move to quarterly meetings or meetings as needed. We've, found that a lot of the things we were handling have gotten taken care of. We're talking about, and so we'll be meeting quarterly unless we need to meet more often and handling everything else by email. Once we have a new deputy village clerk in place, we're going to try to set up training with another round of training on the website with North Shore for the town and village clerk's offices. The town clerk's office would like to have that, and whoever's new, that would be helpful. And also we approved to buy a cart. Sally had suggested it'd be good to have a cart on wheels for all this paraphernalia, because we have to lug it in and lug it out. So we said, go for it. We'll find money for that somewhere. The only other thing I'd like to add on economic development that besides the stuff that was in Lee's report is that we're also launching an effort to create a housing strategic plan. A housing analysis was part of our BOA, and we know that there's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of other kinds of funding that's going to be coming down in the next months and years. And in order to position ourselves well for that, we really have the data we need to create a strategic plan, we think. And our Ellen Pembroke, who worked with us on this through the BOA, was very helpful. So we're setting up a working group that's going to try to pull that together, and we hope to have something by the end of this year or early 2022 for public comment. So sorry if I stole all your thunder.
Every bit. No, actually, I have two things I can add it real quick.
Great, I'm done.
Yeah. So with communications and technology, I just wanted to also mention that we spoke again about the benefits of having a staff only, an internal pages or areas on the website. And so, you know, this is not necessarily an immediate process, but just a note to department heads to maybe be thinking about, okay, if I were what kinds of material would I want to have access to on a sort of password protected portion of the website? These might be resources, documents, forms. My mind immediately goes to all things HR. Yeah, right. So just for something to be thinking about, so that, and making notes for later on down the road. And then also just in terms of economic development, I just wanted to highlight some of the things that Lee spoke about in terms of there are multiple projects that we are working on where we are looking for community input. So the BOA, the final report of the BOA, those community meetings, this has been not a really long effort, but it's been an ongoing effort. And here's the opportunity for our community members to attend these sessions and learn what the outcome is, because the outcomes of these plans very much inform board members existing and future and staff and so on in terms of what priorities we may be pursuing and what projects we might pursue. So the BOA, the highlighting that the CDBG cares, now I'm going to lose my words right in the middle of it, but the request, for projects and ideas and anybody that might be interested in the grant application, there's a short-term timeline on that. But we'd love to hear from folks, particularly our businesses who might benefit from those funds. And then finally, there's going to be more public opportunity to learn about and participate in the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, the DRI, and that's coming. So I just wanted to highlight there are all of these, sort of ongoing projects where we really look for and desire and have opportunity for public input. No, that's all.
Okay.
I'll take public safety real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in terms of public safety, one of the recommendations from the advisory committee for the Executive Order 203, one of the recommendation was the formation of a community engagement committee that would work with our chief and our board and to provide sort of an advisory board, as well as to come up with and host barbecues and other kinds of events that would, bring our community and our police together with an eye towards strengthening that relationship. All of that is to say that we have launched an interest form for people who might be interested in serving in that capacity. It is just a few questions, but asking you to, tell us why you were interested. And we are looking for broad sort of representation in terms of perspective and, constituency group. So, we ask, you to tell us a little bit about that. We are hoping, did I say September 13th? That's a deadline, right? September 13th is the deadline. We're hoping to have, folks express interest by then so that we can hold a convening meeting, end of September, beginning of October.
You're thinking quarterly?
Yes,
Meetings?
quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's just a really
Useful.
important piece of that, so that people know what the commitment is when they're signing up for things. So, and those would be to brainstorm what kinds of things that we can do to engage, community members. And we also will be pulling in some student voices as well from both of the colleges, just to add to that. So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. So all of that is on the website. Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any other committees?
Complete Streets has recently taken another look at Park Street, particularly the stretch from Main to the railroad tracks for pedestrian and bike safety. And we had an idea, and I talked to Eric Backus at Clarkson, who helped us with the Judson Street study. And he's going to put together a proposal for us to look at to do a Park Street study. And I'm thinking we could even include Court Street between Main and State Street, kind of a two-part thing, and see what he comes up with. This would probably happen in the spring semester with Clarkson students involved in the spring. And so I'll, when he's ready with that, we'll bring that to the board and look at his proposal. Another thing going on is we're working on getting a couple more EV chargers, and we're looking at locations. Going to be meeting with Marty and the mayor soon to discuss locations. Two possibilities are the Price Chopper lot and the other plaza lot by Burger King. So if anybody has any input or wants to be involved in that, please let me know. And those are just a couple things going on at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Klaus. Any other committee? Okay, we'll move on. Communications and information. I had, and I circulated, there is a resignation on the Housing Authority Board, Tricia Pethick, so we'll be looking for a replacement for her. I don't think it quite panned out to be what she thought it would be.
But I thought it was interesting that she said she was enthusiastic about doing it, but felt like she lacked the financial knowledge that she needed in housing policy. So I think as we, I would love to get, speaking of community engagement, as Anna was, if we can sort of enlist people, solicit people, see if there are people out there who have that interest or background, housing policy and finance. So that group's playing a really crucial role. They're doing a great job, and it would be great to get somebody who's really knowledgeable in those areas and invested who we could nominate and put in there.
Well, we'll be looking. If you have ideas. The other thing I'll mention is that we did get the, I found some census information. I got a little blurb that came across in an email, and I did some digging. We found some of the information concerning the village in our census for 2020. So I circulated that to everybody. I think it's interesting. we've gone up in all categories, and we have also increased our population by about 13%, maybe a little bit more than 13%. The town gained too, but not quite as much in terms of percentages. And I don't think the county gained. I think the county went backwards, but I didn't do the digging this evening. If I find the link for you, I'll send it on. If you want to look at it yourselves, you can compare us to other communities and the county in particular.
That's good news, Mike.
I thought it was good news. One more piece of information. We did get a contract from McDonald's that I think is going to be approved by our attorneys. So I'm just throwing that in there under communications and information. It looks like we'll be ready to proceed if both attorneys say that we're good to go. It looked good to me, but then again, I'm not an attorney.
They agreed with the changes that Eric and I requested. They had a couple of further red lines for us, basically regarding insurance coverage for people who are going to be doing the environmental assessment.
Mhm.
And asking for a copy of the environmental assessment documents.
Everything seemed reasonable to me, but as I said, Jerry and Eric need to give it their final blessing, and then we'll start moving forward.
The document came in just about a couple hours ago.
Thanks.
Okay, no county legislator, old business, zoning revision update. I can tell you that it looks like, we have a pretty good version. We have a meeting planned for the 23rd of August, and I think will be one of the final meetings that before we really go public with it. Carol, I know you put a tremendous effort into the editing piece. Anything you want to add to that?
No, not really. I think where Jerry and Monica put a huge amount of time into it, and I think that now what we're looking for is the ZBA and our ZBA and planning boards and their chairs, and our code office and our ED office to look at it with their eyes to see what zoning, what things from their standpoints in their day-to-day work they see as either issues or problems. So we need to, that's what'll happen on the 23rd.
23rd, yeah.
Is that we'll get that all together, and then I feel like it's in real good shape, and then we'll see what happens when the public gets hold of it. The county planning office did give it a lot of scrutiny, and that was helpful, but then they'll do another review of it.
No formal review.
So it's gonna be a good, so as a reminder, it's just the zoning part of the code, to be consistent with our comprehensive plan, and I think it's gonna be very current. It's gonna help us with, it's gonna matter to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. It's gonna help us when we start looking at DRI possibilities, so the timing of it's good.
So Karen, can you remind me on the 23rd what time?
2.
But that's.
This is the committee that's working on it.
Okay, got it. So,
It's the working group that we sit down and review.
so it's not anything I need to be.
No, not yet.
Okay.
It will be
Just wanna
soon.
make sure I'm not missing
It will be soon, but the working group sits down with it.
That makes sense.
I heard that.
If I say that,
It
let me
can
put
be,
my mask back
it can
on.
be rather,
Thanks,
it
Carol.
can be tedious.
Yes, no, we appreciate it.
So
That's why I know that we're needed,
line by line tedious. So,
118.
118 pages tedious.
181.
81, see, I mixed up my numbers.
That's a big difference.
There's a huge difference.
Okay,
So thank you.
so that's where we're at with the zoning revision update. And the next item was American Rescue Plan Act. I kept this on here just to keep everybody reminded that that's there. There's no great urgency to move, but we will have to begin making some priorities on how we're going to move forward on this.
Yeah.
And I have some thoughts about that.
I would love to see, I have thoughts about that, and I keep bringing them up. I really do think, I agree, there's no urgency, and I think right now, our focus is on, figuring out about the CDBG CARES money, figuring out the DRI. But once that gets done, I think we need to figure out who needs to be at the table, what staff members, I don't know exactly all who, to sit down and say, okay, given what we know about what the parameters of that are, what's our best?
Well, that's been my thinking, and I just, we're so busy with other things
Right,
right now
sure.
that, that's why it's taking a little bit of a backseat, but that's why I keep it on the agenda to make sure it's, we're in that, we're thinking about it. Next item is the e-scooters update. I know Klaus sent some information around, and including some agreements and MOAs and things of that nature. Klaus, anything?
We have Jeremy Lynch from Birdie Scooter is with us. If board members have any questions for Jeremy, or has anybody gotten any feedback or have thoughts along the line of e-scooters? What are we thinking?
I have a couple of questions, Klaus and also Jeremy. I was the village board member who got bumped off the last meeting, so I missed the end of your presentation and some of the questions. And so forgive me if some of this has already been covered, but I read through the MOU and some of the information. I guess the questions I have are, in our population and with our demographic, is it viable, with our population, our demographics and our weather and our seasons. And also, I was pretty stunned when I saw that the minimum number of scooters to be deployed here would be 75, which feels like, that's more than there's cars downtown sometimes. It just seemed like a big number, and I wondered how that number was arrived at. And I guess I'm still curious about whether you have any pilot successful programs that are working in communities as small as ours and also as rural as ours. And if we already asked all those questions, then.
I don't think so. I mean, I would say, so the communities in New York where we are operating would be Oswego and Olean. Since this program just started and the size of the number of scooters that we're offering in this size between 50 and 75 we just started that this year. So as far as in New York, just legalized e-scooters and e-bikes just late last year too. So we were just starting to roll out in New York, but Oswego and Olean have successful programs. In fact, Oswego is beyond successful for us. It's done extremely well. And Olean had just started to get its legs under the program, and that's doing well. And that's without the school's participation at all. So they're not allowed to ride on campus yet, and on either of those campuses, St. Bonaventure or SUNY Oswego. But the programs are doing great. The number is just 75 is the number of scooters that we would ship to the FM. Now, what that means as far as the number that go out every day. So in Oswego, we're averaging probably close to 70 scooters out every day, but we're getting between 250 and 275 rides every day on those number of scooters. So they're getting a lot of rides. Now, we only put out that number of scooters because it is generating that number of rides. And the data has shown us, in which we share with Mayor Barlow, they get to see that data. So the increase in scooters only reflected because of the increase in rides. So when I say 75, what we'd probably start off with on the first week and a half would probably be 20 to 25. And then as demand grew and rides increased, the FM would put a few more out and then put a few more out. And then knowing that the season would end quickly, they would, that happens is the seasonality of it, the scooters, the fleet manager would pull them back in to their warehouse or whatever they may have, garage they may have. And then we basically put the scooters to sleep for the winter. And then when spring comes back around, they get rehibernated, recharged, regenerate them, and then they go back on the street again for the spring and the summer and the fall again. Now, it is an unusual market, but again, I think you're very similar to Oswego in weather patterns. I think that program will probably shut down in 2 months, 2.5 months, maybe. Maybe it'll get to late October. I don't know. You all probably have a better idea than me in Massachusetts about the lake effect up there. But nonetheless, it has been successful in us we know it's seasonal, and for us to run a 6-month program, 7th-month program is working for us so far. So we don't have any doubts that it could be a successful program, but it would be a gradual buildup to a number that would be sufficient. We may not even get to 50, but what we do is just provide enough that person, and since the fleet manager doesn't have to pay for the scooters, it's no loss, it's no financial loss to them to house more than they would actually use. And what we do is just as demand increases, we would slowly uptick the number of scooters that would be out in the market.
Have you done assessment of this area, but no, I don't mean this area, of Canton and the population sort of trends? Because we are our most populous during the winter when there are students here. And come May, the students leave. And really it's a fact of our matter is that a lot of people here have second homes in the mountains or on rivers. So our population really declines in the summer and then picks up again in August. Have you done any assessment of that, or is that a concern that you have?
It's not a concern, to be honest. And again, we can exist in a market with 25 to 30 scooters going out every day, and that's the number. That would be fine. It wouldn't be, it's not, so we look at it like this. It's not going to be for everyone. It's going to be for a smaller subset of folks to get around, to find another choice of mobility to get around town in the village. And we look at it as, right now in Olean, I think we're only averaging 30 scooters out every day. And that's a fine number for us. That works. No one's in session at school. And I grant you that students come back in August, and there are students that stay through the summer too. So there would be riders. They're not going to be 200, 300 rides a day, but we don't need that for the program to be successful. And most importantly, for the local fleet manager we would hire, it would be enough money for that person to make them a good income for those months that they are operating the fleet.
So, question about them not being allowed on college campuses. What would change that? Would they ever be allowed?
Yeah, so the reason why I said that is because I sold Zipcar in to about 350 schools over the course of 10 years previous. And I'm very familiar with universities, and they don't really like if you come onto their property without permission. So I don't have a written agreement with SUNY Oswego yet, but I am communicating with them, and we're getting towards one. So until that agreement is signed, I basically had built an operating zone around the campus so scooters can't ride onto them, just to respect their, that they wouldn't want them being on campus, and I wouldn't want to do it without their permission. So we would have to work with each of the universities to make sure that we followed their guidelines regarding parking, regarding areas of operating and where they wouldn't be able to be operated, things of that nature, so that we would be in compliance with everything that the school would ask us to be.
And have you been in any conversation as of yet with St. Lawrence or SUNY Canton about this?
I have not.
I will say, Carol, these are a lot of the concerns you shared about our demographic and our seasonality and this being, I don't know, profitable in any way, are concerns that make sense to me. But reading through the MOA and the agreement, I am not entirely sure that, it's sort of, the burden's not on us if it isn't a successful model. So that in and of itself, seems fine. However, I do have two concerns. Well, one concern and a question.
Sure.
One concern that I have is I don't know if this is for you so much, Jeremy, it's just sort of a general concern. These scooters are meant to be ridden on the road. And I don't know how, I have moved here from many very bike-friendly and very sort of scooter-friendly locations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I would necessarily call our roads the most bike and scooter friendly. And I wonder if we're going to have, others share concerns that we'll end up really with more people on scooters on the sidewalks because it's safer, or about, sort of, I don't know, traffic safety concerns from our, people driving because there are scooters doing 15 miles an hour or whatever, right? I mean, I just want to raise this because, I don't know, is this something that Klaus, you've thought about with Complete
Well,
Streets?
that's my question. Is this
Um,
something that we should get to Complete Streets and say, you know, Streets Task Force are into a Complete Streets policy, do we send it off to Complete Streets and ask them to give us an assessment or their recommendation?
I think that's,
I have informally run it by Complete Streets and haven't gotten any solid opinion one way or the other, but I could, you know, more directly, you know, get a discussion going and get input. But any other thoughts here amongst the board on anybody gotten any feedback on it? Or Lee, have you heard from either of the colleges perchance?
They had been invited or informed that Jeremy was going to be speaking at the last meeting, and I have just in the last week or so forwarded a copy of the presentation over to each of the colleges. I haven't heard anything back either way, but it has been delivered to them.
Okay, thanks.
And also to address the councilwoman's concern about safety, I would say, and the sidewalks. So two things. I'd sent, I know I have a couple of references from Oswego on Olean, and I would, you know, suggest talking to those folks and finding out what their thoughts have been and their experiences have been. Because again, neither of those towns are particularly, Olean's a little better, but not all the other streets. I would say would be necessarily have a bike lane, but people are biking on them. So I would just maybe get their opinion on what they think, how it's going so far. Plus, it is illegal to ride an e-scooter on a sidewalk. So it is against the law in the current legislation that was written last year that you're not allowed to ride on a sidewalk. And that's one of the things that we stringently adhere to and educate our riders is not to ride on the sidewalk and just to ride where bikes would ride on the street.
We did get feedback from Bill Barlow in Oswego, and I did share that with the board. He did send us his feedback from the city of Oswego.
yeah,
Jeremy,
think
go ahead, Ann.
I was simply going to say, you know, I am not opposed to this idea. I certainly think that providing alternative modes of transportation is a really important thing for us to do. I want to make sure, I think that we're ready to do that, that we don't, you know, jump to that step before maybe our community is ready. I think so that's where that question and concern is coming from. I agree, talking to Olean might be useful, but also I think hearing more from Complete Streets. And then the last thing is, I didn't know if Jerry had a time to look at those, at the contracts and sort of that, and maybe, yeah, it'd be useful to me.
I guess what I would add, and I said this last meeting, my family and I went to Nashville. I've seen them in action. Going to Nashville is a major city, but I think that it would be really great in Canton, especially for the student population. So if we get permission to get them on those campuses, I think that they could be incredibly valuable to some of our students because it's inexpensive, and especially on breaks, and you know, getting to the grocery store, and it's a little bit of a walk. So I do think that there's value, and having seen them in action, they seem to be really pretty safe in Nashville, where there's a big population and a lot of traffic and that kind of thing. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. But I do agree that these questions are good questions, and I think that, you know, we need to be ready for it. So that's so.
Jeremy, considering the time of the season and everything, at what point would you need a decision? Like what's your timeline as far as getting back to you?
Probably in the next couple of weeks, just because it's sourcing an FM, getting the scooters up there, getting them trained and everything, and then launching in early September, letting them ride in September on October, and then being able to look back and see how did the program go? What do we need to change? What can we make better?
Right.
And then it rolls back in the spring. The reason why I would think about something in the fall would be just to get a brief glimpse of it, to see what we could learn and improve upon as we opened up back in the spring when the weather cleared. That'd be the only reason. And if not, I'd be happy to do something in the spring as well. Then you could work through that timeline that the city's comfortable with.
Sure. Well, we'll have Complete Streets take a good look at it, and we'll discuss it amongst the board, and we'll get back to you shortly and, give you an idea what's going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for your interest.
Yeah.
in our
Thank you.
community.
Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Take care.
Okay. We're all set?
I would just like to add to that, Chief, I would be interested in having a chat with you and talking with you to hear your impressions, or also, I don't know whether you've had a chance to talk to your officers at all, to get input. I think it's easy I'd be interested if you and or any of them have ever been places where they are. So, input based on experience, not just sort of what we all wonder about. So I'll drop in and talk to you about that sometime.
Good.
Okay. Next item is single-use plastics, continuing that discussion. We did seem to get beat up a little bit on online about this conversation. I'm not sure how it got misconstrued, but the Sustainability Committee asked us to look at the possibility of some sort of ordinance requiring restaurants to supply plastic straws only when asked by a customer, and to eliminate or ban the use of plastic stirrers altogether. Somehow it got twisted around to a whole lot more than just that. So it's on the agenda to talk a little bit more about that. I did get an email from John Tenenbush. He had planned on being here today, but he would have been here for tomorrow's meeting, but today he had a conflict. He's involved in the St. Lawrence County Environmental Management Council, and he supports the efforts by the village to move in this direction. It's a standing committee that's taken on the task of working with interested people, businesses, and organizations to reduce or eliminate single-use plastics. Over the last year's holiday season, for example, EMC publicized an effort to select usable tableware at thrift shops, wrap them, and give them as gifts. People could keep them in their purse, backpack, bag, or desk drawer, and then have reusable tableware for their lunch or to stir their coffee, etc. Other EMC ideas have included celebrating when a store, shop, restaurant makes a change from single-use plastics to a more environmentally friendly alternative. For example, to move from styrofoam to a container for takeout food to a cardboard or compostable, I'll get that right, product that businesses should be publicly recognized for making those changes and applauded. He asked me to read that via a fax.
Could I ask you to forward that to me as well? Because I would like to share that with the Sustainability Committee, because there may be some initiatives there that the committee could pick up, or there are people from the Canton Central and from the colleges who may be interested in pursuing some of those sort of smaller initiatives. We talked about what a local law would look like, Jerry. I think we're going to look into that. If I got scared about every time we took a beating online, I wouldn't be. I'm not that concerned about that. I'd like to pursue this, and I think that I don't know whether you and Jenny in your travels around town, or even the rest of us going into eateries, could ask the question. It was certainly the impression they gave us, and that Kathleen gave us in the presentation, that this is in fact not a thing that the local restaurant owners and food place owners are against. In fact, they favor it because it's a money saver for them. They're not buying stuff, just buying it and having to sell it. So, having to throw it out. So I think that couple things are to look into the local law and also to maybe do a little bit of legwork around to check in with some of the local business people.
So if,
I,
I-
no, my only statement about the, what was discussed online is that I think it got blown way out of proportion and was incorrect. So it,
Right.
this wasn't about a lot of it. It seemed to circulate. It was about not automatically giving out a straw, but waiting for somebody to ask for a straw and then getting rid of it. And there's other communities that are already doing it now. So
and those are the.
only two things that were on the recommendation. So.
I support the recommendation personally. I do have to say that I appreciate what you were saying, that about having the conversations with our local eateries. Only because I think it's important to gather that input, and it would be important for us to understand, if we are, data aside, if we are causing a hardship, a potential hardship to a business, we would want to have information up front, so that could be something that could be in discussion rather than passing something and being seen as just sort of, dictatorial about it rather than collaborative. So I would really, I don't know if that, means working through Lee's office. I mean, perhaps that's a good way of doing it. I know Lee and Jenny have a lot on their plates, but just in conversations, if this could be brought up and get some feedback, I think that would be a really good way to move the process forward. I also think
If we could engage the chamber.
I wonder if we could engage the chamber. Yes, this might be absolutely a good thing to do. But beyond that, I think we had talked about inviting Kathy Stein to give a presentation. I still would feel better informed if I heard that presentation. So I'm wondering if that's a possibility.
I would be very happy to do that. I'm sure it could be probably about 10 minutes. She gave a longer one to us on the sustainability committee, but I'm sure she can down and ask questions.
I bet she'd be glad to do that. Yep. Yep. Good plan, Anna, to talk to eateries too and get feedback. I totally agree. That would be a smart thing to do.
Would you like me to see if Kathleen can come for September?
Yeah.
Or October? We'll see if she can come for September.
No,
Yeah.
September. Barry has to have a chance about this a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's also an issue that I think
Right.
is an issue.
Could ask about that too.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item is community choice aggregation. We're moving forward, Klaus.
Yep, we are pretty well all set to go on that. Mike, have you sent in the agreement yet to Louise perchance?
I guess I have to look and
It's in
see.
your email. Check your email, or I can resend it to you. We need to get that signed and sent in, and then she will meet with us shortly, and we'll figure out the next steps for, public education and the next couple things we need to do. But we're all set to go.
Did I give you? I didn't? Okay. I must not have sent it in, because she's the keeper of all agreements.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of
Well,
morning.
yeah, get that into her, and then we'll meet with her very soon and figure out what the next steps are.
Okay.
Great.
Very good. Anybody have? Okay. Last item under old business is just a quick reminder. I know I've said this many times, of the marijuana public hearing scheduled for September 22nd. I will just add there's a very real possibility that the deputy mayor will be running that public hearing. She's already been warned. I may be out of town.
Is that right before our meeting?
No, that's on the 22nd.
You said a special date.
It's a special date, what, 6 o'clock, I think.
No longer, it would go too long into the meeting.
I'm putting out a calendar now.
Okay, new business. I need a motion to authorize payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
So moved.
Beth, second.
Second.
Klaus, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item, DRI update. Put that on there just so we can see where we're at in the process. Lee, do you want to have anything to say, or do you want? Lee? Where are we?
Okay,
Sorry, I had to log back into my screen. I'm happy to give an update, or Anna Carroll can fill in. I gave a little one during my report, but basically we have decided to work with CNS companies again. They've worked with us on a number of projects, including the BOA that's just getting ready to wrap up. They know a lot about our community. They've done these before. They worked with a lot of DRI communities. So we're happy to have them on board helping us. We have a committee in place that includes some of our ED folks, some representatives from the college. We have Lenore and we have Brooke Rouse and Rainbow Crabtree are kind of sitting in and participating when they can. And Martha Foley from the town is on that board, that committee as well. So we have just started to look at what our boundary is going to be, what our potential projects are going to be, and started doing some outreach to those groups. We're looking at, we have to do a public meeting, or we will do another public meeting. We have gotten a lot of public input recently, and we'll be having more from the BOA public session in which they are going to mention the DRI and ask specifically about DRI ideas, many of them which overlap with the BOA. So we will do some public input from those sessions. And then also, I think we decided, oh, I've got to look back at my calendar. It's the week of the 30th, I think, maybe the 31st, that we decided to do the public meeting for the DRI, but we'll be getting that publicized soon. So we're going to be looking for projects and defining those and, you know, creating our narrative, narrowing in on what our boundary is going to be. We're looking at possibly expanding the boundary some this year, so we can include the Governor Street Gateway and doing some sprucing up to that area coming into town. Potentially a couple of projects along there, potentially the Cascade, Willow Island Heritage Park, a number of them, Riverside Drive, some Main Street projects, the Jubilee Plaza. And we're also looking at possibly extending down into the Bend into the River Park area and including the whole Reimagining Rec thing. There's another business that's got a project down there. So we are going to be honing in on that and defining that and starting to tighten up our application. It's due September 15th. So I think we're in a good place right now, but we're going to keep it moving. Anything else that you wanted to add, Carol or Anna?
Lee, your report included the link to the website for board members, but I think just to say that that will be updated and public facing soon, so that the public will be up to date with what we're doing and have an opportunity to provide input through that. I think that's all I'd add.
Yep, we're going to be looking at updating the forms, of course, to make them appropriate for the current year and current information. There are some small changes, well, big changes to the program, big dollar changes to the program, but mostly it's very similar to what it's been in the past. So it's just a matter of updating some information, and we'll publicize that as well. Ways for people to participate and provide input both on projects and for what they'd like to see kind of things. And just keeping the community informed about where we're at with it. Yeah, we'll be getting on that. Jenny is on vacation this week, so I don't know if I have a few other things on my list that I need to check off, and it depends on how far I get with those and if I get to it this week or not, but we'll get to it quickly.
One of the changes, I think people probably seen this in the paper and are aware of this. One of the big changes is that this year the pool is doubled, so that each region, and ours is the North Country, can decide to either give one $20 million grant or 2 10s. And so it is the sort of I think, gathered expert wisdom of our consultants we're working with. They don't expect that they do a big one in the North Country. They think it's more likely they're use 2 small ones, but there's no telling. But that does mean that perhaps, we have, they think that we had a really good application last year. And so they feel really good about what we're starting with, and the fact that there's also 2 available may give us a shot. We're giving our best shot.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item was just a brief update on the pandemic safety. Obviously, we're back into it again. We've made some changes here in the municipal building for people coming and going in the public areas. And we'll be spending a little bit of time looking at some of the other options available to us. But we're going to have to adjust based on how things occur in our community. There has been a discussion in a lot of places about vaccine mandates. That will be discussed, and I've talked to the supervisor, and we're going to have a meeting with our labor attorney probably next week. Is the first time she can sit down and do that meeting. And it will be via Zoom. So we're trying to schedule it for Tuesday. I don't know if you're going to be around for Tuesday, or make yourself available. So both myself, the supervisor, deputy mayor, and the deputy supervisor will get involved in that. This gets to be a complicated issue. I know the state has made some moves in requiring healthcare providers. They're going to mandate them to get the vaccine. But it opens up a real can of worms with our unions and our labor force. So we're going to have to see where that goes. The things that we can do, like we've done today, we'll continue to adjust based on what's going on in our community. So this could be the norm for the time being. We had to have the doors open for the public because we're not allowed to do it all by Zoom right now. So it's possible that that could change, but right now there's no executive orders to cover that. So we have had a couple of people that have been required to quarantine, and we're dealing with that. But nobody has been sick that's in our employ.
Mike, to what you said, I'd like to add, I think we all know it's happening fast, it's moving fast, it's so regrettable, but it's happening. I think one of the important things I would like to get out is, how we're communicating this, how people can know what the changes are, at least as they affect municipal operations. And I think for people to know, as soon as there's a change or an update or anything, we send it to the North Country This Week, we send it to the Watertown Daily Times, and we post it on our website. And so I think that when people have questions, they can look immediately at our website, which is cantonny.gov. And right on the homepage, there will be updates there. Our COVID update little button, we hadn't been used very much, but we can resurrect that if we need to. And then we also typically post all those things out to Facebook, but really the papers and the website will be notified immediately, and that's where people can be kept up to date.
Can I ask you a question? Have we surveyed? I know that where they did an actual survey as to offering.
We have surveyed.
Okay.
So we have to redo that to see where we're at, because there have been changes since that was done.
Yeah.
It was done several months ago, as there was a big push on. Things leveled off, but we will be resurveying to see where we're at.
Yeah, I think that would be just helpful in terms of, because that is it's a dynamic conversation.
Well, it's a conversation.
Right?
And the labor will have a lot to say about it. So. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Head Start lease contract. You should have gotten a copy of that Head Start contract. It does need to be renewed. I don't know if anyone has had a chance to look at it.
So I was unable to find that contract. I assumed it was just something we were talking about, not that I
I
had
think it was-
received anything.
Sally sent it out, didn't you? Send us.
I haven't seen it.
No, okay, well, I thought you, that's what I get for, I was pretty sure she sent it out. You sent it to me, okay, well, here's the deal.
I will send it out.
It's the annual.
No, it's a 3-year, and they would like to extend it to 5.
Okay.
And it's really, they don't pay any rent there. It's a benefit to the community.
Sure.
Oh, of course.
So,
Yeah.
Jerry normally goes through it, and if he has any problems or recommends any changes. Since he's been through it many times, I'm sure that there probably wouldn't be many suggestions for change.
Why are they asking for a move from 3 to 5?
Just so they don't have to deal with it every 3 years. That would seem to be the reason for me. What's that?
A 3-year term when you guys were elected 2-year terms. Now you're elected 4 years, and we're going to 5.
Well,
There it is.
my apologies for not getting it out. Here it is.
Is that timely? Can we look at that in September?
Yes, I'm gonna have to redo that, so.
Is it due in October? Is that the lease?
No, it's doing that.
Oh, not until now. Okay, we're fine.
Hold on,
I will read it.
Carol,
Yeah, because you haven't seen it.
I was like,
my mistake.
A couple years ago.
I was like,
Elizabeth.
I almost asked and then I said, no, we're just gonna discuss it.
That's what I thought too.
Well, that's my error.
It's okay.
No problem.
It happens.
There, it's been sent.
Fabulous.
Nice.
My mistake.
Really
That's the only one I
something
make tonight. We're
more
good.
during the meeting.
Next item is to appoint Megan Musaw as deputy registrar. The reason for this is with Carol leaving, we needed a deputy registrar, and that person has to be officially appointed by the board.
Oh, I thought you said they are both deputy, both those are also deputy registrar.
Well, no,
Just
no,
one.
no.
I would be registered. I am
She's the registrar.
And normally would be doing the parent. She's gone. We need somebody in town. If I'm not here, there's nobody to produce.
So that's why we need.
And it's a two-minute. Two lots of carrots.
What's the balance of carrots, do you know?
Which would be December.
December? Well, that's good timing, and then the new person.
But, there's a possibility, well, at any rate, there may be more than one appointed anyways, just to make sure we have that flexibility.
Okay.
But we need to take care of that piece of business now so that Megan can do that piece.
I would second that.
Second.
Okay. I got a second already.
I think there's a delay.
Thanks. There's a delay.
Thanks to the delay, you don't ever get the second, Klaus.
Okay.
It's a competition.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item is approved second notice fee for property taxes. I know you received that resolution. And we have to pass that, and we normally don't charge the fee. Correct, Sally?
Because it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yes.
Because what?
It's more trouble.
More trouble than it's
More
worth.
complaints on it.
Yeah.
So we are going to waive the fee, and the resolution does that.
Great.
So, need a motion?
Klaus, you're up.
Klaus, you want to make the motion to,
So moved.
Hey!
now I need,
Second.
okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, good deal. Okay, we're not taking care of Josh Vine. We'll try to do that next month, see what happens. Public comment. Is there any public comment?
Oh, I see a hand up there. It's the chief.
Jake?
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to just take a brief minute, if I may, to circle back to the Dairy Princess Parade and the block dance. We've been part of, the police department's been a big part of this for many years. It's not our show, but we kind of help coordinate a lot of it. And I just wanted to take just a moment, if I may, just to thank some people and some organizations or groups that don't ever get recognized, in my opinion. The village superintendent, Marty Miller, who also volunteered to be riding one of the big wheels next year. I just want to throw that out. Dave Reagan, big help. He shows up every weekend. He's always around. DPW, village DPW, town highway. They provide us with a lot of the barricades, the big ones. The county highway gives us cones, a great number of cones. Canton Fire Department, they're always around. They always help us out. This year, Canton Fire Department got West Stockholm Fire Department to come and help us out on some of the side streets. So we had 5 or 6 of those folks helping us out. That was huge because we can't be everywhere. And also my own staff, just really appreciate everyone's extra effort. So just want to take a moment to recognize everybody and thank everybody. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I
Okay.
actually have a public comment. It's not, I'm struck by this Zoom, the way this is set up, that we see the person who's talking. Like I was used to at home when I was doing it, I could see all who was there and I could put them on speaker view if I wanted. But the interesting thing is, like if everybody's here, I can see who's here. But the way we have it set up now, I don't even know, I still don't know all who's been at our, if there's been any public at our meeting, or anything. All I know is like who got here early because they're the top ones. So I would like to think about whether, how to best do this. Anyway, I just say that publicly because I feel like that's, I would like people to know we're constantly working on making this as inclusive and transparent and engaging as we possibly can.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate it.
That's all.
Okay. Being nothing else, I have nothing for executive session.
Really?
Yeah, really. Really. So I'll take a motion to adjourn this meeting. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. Huh?